All right, today we are diving into a story that is just, well, it's extraordinary. It's a story that connects the heavens right down to earth. We're talking about the birth of one of the greatest philosophers in history, Adi Shankara. And as you'll see, this wasn't just any birth. It was prayed for, it was foretold, and it was all part of a grand cosmic plan.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we have to set the cosmic stage. And this quote right here is key. It's a foundational idea in Hindu philosophy that says, look, behind all the big jobs of the universe, creating, sustaining, and yes, destroying, there's one single supreme reality. And that reality shows up in different forms for different jobs. Today, our story revolves around one of those forms, Shiva.
So where does our story even begin? Well, you have to picture a time, roughly 2,500 years ago, when the world was in a bit of a tailspin. It was facing a really deep spiritual crisis. Imagine the world was kind of forgetting the password to its own deepest wisdom. This path of jhana, this search for the direct knowledge of ultimate reality, it was fading away. And in its place, a wave of disbelief was growing stronger and stronger. Now, this wasn't just some philosophical debate club. It was seen as a real threat to the spiritual well-being of the entire world. Things got so serious that the gods and the great sages themselves decided, okay, we have to do something. So they went on this incredible journey to Mount Kailash, Lord Shiva's mythical home. But here's the thing, they didn't go to Shiva the destroyer, they went to Shiva the ultimate teacher, with a single desperate plea. You have to help us. Please bring back true knowledge to a world that's losing its way. And this is what I find absolutely fascinating. The specific form of Shiva they approached is called Dakshinamurti. This isn't a god of thunder and lightning. This is a god of pure, silent wisdom. He doesn't give long lectures, he teaches the ultimate truth through a simple hand gesture, the Chinmudra. It symbolizes the individual merging with the supreme. It's said that even the wisest of sages could have their deepest doubts cleared just by sitting in his silent presence. Powerful stuff.
So did this heartfelt plea to the heavens actually work? Oh, you bet it did. A promise was about to be made that would literally change the course of human history.
Seeing their deep concern and filled with his own compassion for a struggling humanity, Lord Shiva, as the great teacher Dakshinamurti, made a huge decision. He agreed to come down from the heavens and be born as a human being on earth to personally fix things. And get this, it wasn't a solo mission. This was like a divine team-up. A celestial pact was formed. Lord Shiva said he would be born during the Kali Yuga, which is known as a pretty tough time, an age of spiritual darkness. And then other major divine beings, like Brahma and Indra, also promised to take birth on earth to help him out. It was a full-on, coordinated effort to hit the reset button on spiritual balance.
Okay, so we've got this huge cosmic plan in motion. But how does something that big actually start? Well, it begins in the most humble, the most human way you could possibly imagine. Not in a king's palace, but in a tiny village.
So let's zoom in from the cosmos, all the way down to Earth, to the beautiful green lands of Kerala, to a village called Kaladi. This is where we meet our key players on the human side of the story, a wonderfully devout couple named Shiva Guru and his wife, Aryamba. They're about to become the earthly starting point for this divine plan. Now, Shiva Guru and Aryamba were by all accounts the best of people. They were deeply religious, dedicated to their prayers, and famous in their village for their kindness and charity. But for all their goodness, there was one great sadness that hung over their lives. They couldn't have children.
So what do you do when you have this deep, burning desire and an unshakable faith? You take a journey. And that's exactly what they did. They traveled to the famous Shiva temple in Thrissur, a holy place for the deity known as Vadakunathan, who is, you guessed it, another form of Lord Shiva.
And this was no quick weekend trip. They committed to what's called a mandalam, a really intense 48-day period of spiritual discipline. Every single day, 6 times a day, they poured their hearts into worship. They were part of this beautiful ritual where the deity is constantly bathed in offerings of ghee. And after 48 days of this pure, unwavering devotion, it's said that the Lord's heart just melted for them.
So their prayers were finally answered. But the answer wasn't a simple yes. It came in the form of a profound choice, a choice that would shape not just their lives, but the destiny of the world.
Imagine this. Lord Shiva himself appears to both Shiva Guru and Aryamba in a dream. He tells them, "Your devotion has moved me. I will grant you a son." But then he adds a condition. He gives them a choice that they and only they can make.
And here it is, the divine dilemma. Option A. They could have lots of sons, all perfectly ordinary, who would live long, happy lives. Or, option B, they could have one single son, a boy of unimaginable brilliance and wisdom, but he would have a very short life. So just pause for a second. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you pick? Seriously. The comfort and joy of many children who would be with you for a long time, or the gift of a world-changing genius who you knew you would lose far too soon? It's a heavy one, right?
And their answer? It's just breathtaking. It tells you everything you need to know about their faith. Faced with this impossible choice, they didn't pick A or B. Instead, they handed the choice right back to God. They basically said, "Who are we to decide? You're the Lord. You know what's best, not just for us, but for everyone. Your will be done."
And that right there, that act of complete trust, of pure surrender, that was the final piece of the puzzle. It was the perfect answer. It aligned their personal wishes with that grand cosmic plan that was already in motion. The stage was now perfectly set for a divine soul to be born on Earth.
And so, all of this leaves us with this massive, powerful question, doesn't it? Can the birth of one single child truly change the destiny of an entire era? Well, the story of Adi Shankara's life that follows suggests that the answer to that question is a definite, resounding yes.